so many medicines being advertised on TV. And don't they sound good until they get to the side effects? And they say them so quickly in such an even tone, I'm not even sure what I heard. You'll have your hair forever. May cause your ass to bleed in public. I had a blood test recently. It turns out I have high cholesterol. Luckily, it's balanced out by low self-esteem. So I've been taking Lostima. And I also have too much vitamin D. I'm taking Hydema. But if you take Hydema with Lostima, it may cause your ass to bleed in public. And my favorite new advertisement for a drug on TV is that one for the antidepressant that causes you to commit suicide. Have you seen that one? I think this drug might have left the laboratory a little bit too early. And Ambien, that sleeping pill, studies have shown people have walked in their sleep, talked in their sleep, cooked in their sleep, and cleaned in their sleep. I am going to take that sleeping pill. I need to get more done. So many drug ads, I'm beginning to think there are things wrong with me that I've been previously unaware of. I saw an ad for female Viagra. I didn't know there was anything on me that should be standing up. And I don't want to see any more ads for Cialis till they explain why couples must use separate bathtubs. Does that make any sense to you? Once they drag the tubs up to the top of the mountain, aren't they too tired to have sex? And sex after 60 can be quite challenging. Between my bad back and his bad knees, it hurts and feels good at the same time. That's not to say we're not highly experimental, because we are. This year, yes, this year we're going to attempt to achieve simultaneous colonoscopies. And last week we did have a surprise sexual encounter. It was so exciting. It was at 2 a.m. when we bumped into each other on the way to the bathroom. But things change. The meaning of words change. Getting lucky changes. In your 20s, getting lucky, meeting someone you're attracted to. In your 40s, getting lucky, finding a parking space. In your 60s, getting lucky, threading a needle. Good in bed, the meaning of that changes too. You know what? My husband is fantastic in bed. He stays very, very still, and he doesn't snore. For 30 years, and I just say we've been very, very lucky in that no other people have found either one of us the least bit attractive. We've been together so long, we don't even have to talk anymore. We know what the other person is thinking. It's scary, we're on the same wavelength. Sometimes I'll be lying in bed and he'll just roll over and whisper in my ear, "You're wrong." I think honesty is very important in a relationship. I think it must be avoided. And I'm honest, I just wait till the right time. I wait till he says, "I broke a dish," and then I say, "I scratched the car." "I lost my wallet. I kicked your mother." Because my mother-in-law is a cranky woman. She is, and she has arthritis, and she won't take any pain pills because she doesn't want to become addicted. She's 90. What's the worst thing that could happen? For the last 10 years of her life, she'll be in a good mood. But you try to help people. We bought her one of those walk-in bathtubs, but she keeps filling it up and then opening the door. So. Martin and I have gotten along much better since the GPS system was invented, so we don't fight as much in the car. Well, the first GPS lady, we had to get rid of her because she sounded like his mother, and they'd pull over and argue for hours, but... I remember the first time we got in that car and we were going to San Diego, he just programmed it in and everything was going great till we changed our minds. We were going to San Diego, we changed our minds, we decided to go to Los Angeles. And we didn't know how to tell the car. We finally had to go to San Diego just to shut her up. And of course, he bought the car with the self-parking system. I said, we don't need it. Well, we needed it the other day. We were parking, a policeman came over and said, that's a no parking zone. And Martin said, nothing to do with me. This is where the car wants to park. Because cars are almost human these days. They tell you everything they're feeling. A yellow light comes on if the tires need air, a red light comes on if it needs coolant. The other day we were driving along, a purple light came on. And I looked it up and it turned out the car was just feeling vulnerable. My car was in the shop and I had to drive Martin's car, and you know what happened? I bumped into a pole on the passenger side. And I didn't tell him because he never goes over to that side. And one day he went over to that side and he got furious. And I said, there's no use getting angry now. This happened 6 months ago. So I finally got a new car because you know what I wanted? I wanted a keyless ignition. Because don't you hate looking for that key? I just said, I deserve a keyless ignition. So I got a car with a keyless ignition. I was driving it home. I decided to stop at Starbucks to get a $9 cup of coffee. And I wanted to test my keyless ignition. And I came out and I held my coffee because I knew I didn't have to go in my handbag. And I would just pull the handle and it didn't work. No. And I said, maybe I'm aiming it wrong. And I turned and I put nothing. And finally a guy came out and told me what I was doing wrong. I felt so dumb. He said, that's my car. But there's so many things I love about men. I love your self-confidence. When Martin and I play golf, I love how far he thinks he's going to hit the ball. We'll be standing on the tee, and I'll say, why don't you swing? He'll say, I don't want to hit that thing. It's the sun. He just loves watching sports. He'll watch any sport. Even watches poker on television. Have you ever seen poker on TV? To me, it always looks like lunchtime at a methadone clinic. And of course, baseball. But I can watch baseball. I just have to be in the right frame of mind. I have to be asleep. He even watches golf on television. That's not the most exciting sport to watch on TV. Did you know that if you tape golf and then you play it back in slow motion, there's no difference? Did you know that? Men and women, we enjoy different things. Women, we love to talk. You know who we tell? We tell our hairdressers everything. They know everything about us, don't they? And you know what? We don't even know their last names. My husband reveals nothing about himself. Martin went to his barber, has medium-length brownish gray hair, came home with a shaved head. I said, what happened to you? He said, oh, my barber thought I was someone else. I said, why didn't you tell him who you were? He said, because I didn't feel it was any of his business, okay? Men and women react differently to situations. If a woman sees a mess, she cleans it up. If a man sees a mess, he announces it. Rita, the dog just threw up at the top of the stairs. Okay, I'll be there in a second. Try not to do anything about it. Men and women, we have different beliefs. Martin believes in the sink fairy. He thinks if you put a dirty dish in the sink fairy washes it. I said, did you ever notice that whenever I leave, so does the sink fairy? He said, yes, why do you take the sink fairy with you? Men and women, we say different things. Here's something you never hear a man say. I feel bloated. Here's something you never hear a woman say. Hit me in the stomach. Here's something thing you'll never hear two women say to each other when they accidentally meet on the street. Asshole. Here's something you'll never hear two men say to each other after a business lunch. I'm going to the bathroom, wanna come? Why didn't anyone tell me I was gonna have to memorize so many passwords in my life? Oh, are you feeling my pain? 'Cause I feel yours. I tried so hard and I got locked out of my own bank account because I tried to reset the password and I couldn't remember my mother's maiden name, and then I did it wrong, and then it was going to be 4 days before they'd allow me. So finally I had no choice. I had to hire a hacker. But now they have 1Password. It's a new app, and you just have to remember 1Password, and you put all your passwords underneath that 1Password. So I did that, and I forgot that 1Password, and but there are all these new websites too. Findyourfamily.com, that's a new website. Is there anyone here who thinks what they need in their lives is more relatives? And I did try that one where you find your ancestors, and I'm not sure how valid it is, but I did the thing, you spit in the envelope and you send it in, and the results were kind of interesting. You know what? It turns out my great-great-grandfather is SpongeBob SquarePants. And I recently had a death in my family. My phone died. And that's your best friend. Your phone is your best friend now. And it just went dead. And, you know, everyone says, turn it off and on again. And so I said, I can't do that. So I called the hotline, and 20 minutes later, I talked to someone in India who said, Deb, you turned it off and on, you know? And I said, well, it's already off, so I can't turn it off. And if I could turn it on, I wouldn't be having this conversation. So I made a Genius appointment at the Genius store with one of the Genius people. And I guess all the geniuses were in Genius school that day, because I got a teenager with blue hair and a ripped t-shirt. But he was a teenager and he was a genius, and that's why he didn't say turn it off and on again. He looked at it and said, "Ooh, your phone's dead." And he went on and he said, "Oh, sometimes it happens." That's what he said. Then he asked me, "Did you back it up on the cloud?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Because I'm 64 and I have no idea what you're talking about." He said, "Well, you should have backed it up on the cloud." I said, "Stop saying cloud." And he said, "But the cloud." I said, "Okay, now get your mother on the phone." I guess he was a genius, because I walked in, I wanted him to fix my phone, and I ended up spending $800. And I hate not getting a bargain, because this is the time in the world where you can get such good deals. You go on eBay. You know what I got? Oh, I got the best deal on a pair of Eclipse glasses the day after the eclipse. They always ask me the same question. "Did you find everything okay?" I always want to say, "Why, have you been hiding stuff?" It used to be relaxing to walk in a mall, but no more, because of the kiosks in the middle. The people are getting so aggressive. They used to first say, "Excuse me," then they started handing samples. I don't know if you've been recently, but now they're using tuna nets. But I was walking around the mall, and you know what? I think I have spotted a gap in the marketplace, because all the dresses in all the store windows are so short and tight. I have decided to open up my own store. I hope you will all join me in shopping in Forever 51. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna have long sleeve bathing suits. And all the size 12s are gonna be marked size 4. You know, shopping malls are everywhere now, even in airports. It's like they're not like malls. And I was walking at a layover in one of those airports, and you know what? There was a luggage store in the airport, and I was thinking, who buys luggage in an airport? That must be the ultimate procrastinator. Well, I got my clothes, getting ready to get on the plane. Okay, I guess I'll buy a suitcase. I can't save money. But money managers, they don't have very good track records. Some of my friends were talking. One of my friends said, I gave my money manager $10,000, he lost it all. And my next friend said, I gave my money manager $10,000 and he lost half of it. And my next friend said, he sounds good, what's his name? Everything. You know, it's getting real expensive, I've noticed, restaurants. And oh my gosh, I can't order anything market price. Let me warn you, those lobsters have very high opinions of themselves. But Martin and I went to one of these celebrity chef restaurants for our anniversary. There was a Kobe beef steak on the menu. Wait till you hear this, for $150. I know, and Martin asked the waiter, why does the steak cost $150? And the waiter said, this meat comes from the happiest cows in the world. These cows have experienced absolutely no aggravation and no frustration in their entire lives. And Martin said, you mean to tell me that this steak cost $150 because it comes from an unmarried cow? With those fancy restaurants anyway, when they come around at the end of the meal with that crumb scraper, if that doesn't make you feel like a monkey at the zoo. But we're getting much kinder to our animals before we murder them. Really, look on the menus now. They had sustainable fish, grass-fed beef. I had some delicious tickle chicken. A good thing about getting older is I have vintage clothes and I'm the original owner. So this dress I originally wore in Comic Relief in 2006. Thank the Lord it stretches. And I don't have Spanx on either. Gaffer tape, yes. Tried duct tape, but it didn't hold. I don't give any of my clothes. I have my clothes carefully divided up into 3 groups. Clothes I can wear now. Clothes I might be able to wear again at some point. And clothes I'm never, ever gonna be able to wear again, even if someone cuts me in half. I have a pair of jeans, I'm telling you, the Israelis and Palestinians have a better chance of getting together than this zipper. I won't give up. There's always a chance I could get shingles and lose a few pounds. Because women were always trying to get into better shape, but I have friends now who are having operations. Not a good idea. One of my friends had that balloon put in her stomach, but you know what happened? She sneezed and it came undone and she flew around the room. Even the supplements are dangerous. One of my friends took one of those supplements you see on TV, guaranteed she would lose 5 inches. She got shorter. Women, we like to exercise, but we like to exercise and talk. I have 2 friends, they like to jog and talk, they biked and talked, swam and drowned. I mean, even my great-great-grandmother used to take yoga, always bragging about how limber she was. I could touch the back of my knee to my nose. No, she had a fake leg, that didn't count. Come on. So I have given this subject a lot of thought, and I have decided that as an older woman, I do not want to be in really good shape, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't want to be one of those women who looks great from the back and then turns around and frightens people. I think the back should match the front. That's what I think. And you know what I love now? Compliments. Compliments make me so happy. And I find as time goes by, I'm less picky about compliments. The other day, I was giving blood and the technician said, nice veins. And I said, allow me to take you to dinner. Thank you. Some compliments are kind of underhanded. I was trying a dress on in a store and a saleswoman said to me, that's a very forgiving dress. I know. I said, then you'll forgive me if I don't buy it from you. Thank you so much. When I was younger, I was insulted by compliments. I'd be walking down the street in Manhattan and a construction worker would yell out, yo, mama. bring it over here. And I think to myself, well, you animal. Treated me like a piece of meat. The other day I was walking down the street and a man who'd recently regained consciousness rolled out from under a bench and vomit dribbled down his chin. And he opened up his crusty, pussy, bloodshot eyes. And he said, you know, you're a good-looking woman. And I said, and you, sir, are a fine gentleman with excellent taste. Thank you so much. They always ask me the same question. Did you find everything okay? I always want to say, why, have you been hiding stuff? It used to be relaxing to walk in a mall, but no more because of the kiosks in the middle. The people are getting so aggressive. They used to first say, excuse me, then they started handing samples. I don't know if you've been recently, but now they're using tuna nets. And but I was walking around the mall, and you know what? I think I have spotted a gap in the marketplace because all the dresses and all the store windows are so short and tight. I have decided to open up my own store. I hope you will all join me in shopping in Forever 51. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna have long sleeve bathing suits. And all the size 12s are gonna be marked size 4. You know, shopping malls are everywhere now, even in airports. It's like they're not like malls. And I was walking at a layover in one of those airports, and you know what? There was a luggage store in the airport, and I was thinking, who buys luggage in an airport? That must be the ultimate procrastinator. Well, I got my clothes, getting ready to get on the plane. Okay, I guess I'll buy a suitcase. I can't save money. But money managers, they don't have very good track records. Some of my friends were talking. One of my friends said, I gave my money manager $10,000, he lost it all. And my next friend said, I gave my money manager $10,000 and he lost half of it. And my next friend said, he sounds good, what's his name? Everything. You know, it's getting real expensive. I've noticed restaurants, and oh my gosh, I can't order anything market price. Let me warn you, those lobsters have very high opinions of themselves. But Martin and I went to one of these celebrity chef restaurants for our anniversary. There was a Kobe beef steak on the menu. Wait till you hear this, for $150. I know, and Martin asked the waiter, why does the steak cost $150? And the waiter said, this meat comes from the happiest cows in the world. These cows have experienced absolutely no aggravation and no frustration in their entire lives. And Martin said, you mean to tell me that this steak cost $150 because it comes from an unmarried cow? With those fancy restaurants anyway, when they come around at the end of the meal with that crumb scraper, if that doesn't make you feel like a monkey at the zoo. But we're getting much kinder to our animals before we murder them. Really, look on the menus now. They had sustainable fish, grass-fed beef. I had some delicious tickle chicken.